And welcome to another episode of the vlogs. As you can see, we had lovely water there. We've got Bally and Ball also going down the course now. But as you can tell from the title, we're talking about the hardest ergs. Yesterday we talked about, is rowing actually hard, both sort of technically and physically? Then I had a question yesterday on the comments about what are the hardest pieces, whether it's the 2K or the 5K or any other sort of distance that some people might do. But first things first, after the session we have to go fuel up, so we're going to head into the crew room and get some breaded egg toast. Oh yeah. And we have made it into the crew room to fuel up, like I just said, on the balcony, because food is fuel. We've got the breaded egg toast for breakfast today, and like I said, we're talking about the hardest erg. So yesterday we were just talking about what is, or is rowing hard in general, technique wise or effort wise. Today is about what's the hardest erg test. Is it the classic 2K, the 5K, the 6K, the 10K, the 17K, the 21K, the marathon? Let's find out. Edward, now that you've got not a mouthful of food,
yes,
what do you think the hardest erg is? Not necessarily a test, but one you've done that's the hardest you've done.
I reckon the hour that we did flat out, like free rate, flat out, whatever, was very hard.
Why is that more difficult than another one?
I think it requires a lot of like brain power and willpower, whereas like a 2K should only be like around 6 minutes long for a big guy. And that's not that long to have to concentrate on like just like motivating yourself. Whereas 10 times longer than that takes
more motivation. Interesting. So it's less about. So obviously they're both physically hard, but you're
probably
more
like broken, or like you're in more pain after a 2K.
Yeah.
But like in terms of your headspace, it's a lot harder.
Well, I didn't think of that. We used to do 17Ks at Northeastern, and that was. I quite enjoyed them.
Done like 50 minutes. No less.
Under an hour was good.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
So that was like. So we were doing 17Ks. Well, I think because like here we only did like one or two or maybe three. Like we would do them quite often. So I think that was, once you get used to them and deal with them, as some screaming goes on the TV, if you do a test a lot and don't have a nightmare, it can be alright.
I think like we used to do stuff at Brooks where we do like 12 500s at like 26, but flat out.
Yeah, which sounds...
And with 5, so we do it on 5 minutes, every 5 minutes. And like on the 6th one, you're absolutely like flowing, your legs have gone, and then you just have to like pick yourself up. Those are really hard ergos, but because it's only a minute and a half, you can do it.
Alright, and let's see what everyone else's hardest erg, or in their opinion the hardest erg is after fueling up. And we've made it. Still in the crew room talking to Robson about his hardest ergs. Robson, your hardest erg.
At Newcastle there was an erg test we used to do. It was 4,475 metres times 4.
Right.
With 5 minute rest. The thought process behind that is it's the distance between, I'm going to get this wrong, so Angelo, if you're watching, comment below what the actual thing is. But it's the distance from a lighthouse to an island in the Bay of Naples. It's like an Italian team standard test. And
At what pace do you do that?
free rate,
Just as fast as you can.
as fast as you can.
Do you go on the first one and then the second one, I'm blowing the doors off?
The third one is by far the worst. The first one you're like, oh, calm,
Yeah.
got another 3 of these.
Yeah.
Second one you're like, oh, I feel good. And then the third one you're like,
I've got
I have
another.
still got another one left. And I'm in so much pain. And I mean, I ended up being quite good at them, but they were, I mean, I think the time I did my fastest ever time then on them, I got off after the second one, turned around to Angelo and said, I'm never doing that again. I said, I put my hand down and said, I quit. And he was like, no, do another one. But yeah, it was, it's good, like, you get to the end of those sessions, the really, really hard ones, and you feel,
if you make it through.
You're just on top of the world. You're just those really, really hard sessions breed like a toughness that
But only
can't
if
teach.
you're not going to be on top of the world if you get to like 3.5 in and blow your doors off.
Oh yeah, you do, because by the end of it, you're like, whatever happened, I made it. I finished
You
it.
finished it.
I finished it.
Yeah.
And that's what's more important in racing, actually. is you're not racing, like you are racing on the crew, but you're racing yourself more
Pushing yourself,
importantly, and it's how hard can you push yourself, and that was something that we were really focused on, was every single day just getting slightly better, pushing yourself further. So I mean, the other thing that was bad is we used to do it. It was the last session before we went home for Christmas, and the first session when we got back after Christmas. So it was
So
like
you're pretty fresh and then not fresh.
Well, it was also like if you didn't train over Christmas,
the obvious.
literally the worst thing ever. But I mean, looking back on it, it was fun. I enjoyed it, but not at the time.
Not during it,
Yeah.
All right, let's see who else has got their sort of opinions on their hardest ergs. And we're here now with Sam, your man.
Aye. Aye.
What is the hardest erg you've ever done?
It was a step test in Dublin about 3 years ago with some physiologist, I can't remember his name. Yeah, they give you these, like, it's set watts for 4-minute intervals with 90 seconds rest, and then on the last one you go free rate. On the last one my coach just decides, we'll do about 500, just pulls this number out of the blue and tells me to go. I've never worked in watts, so I've no idea that that's a bad idea. So I was sore at the end of that one and sort of faint looking. Physiologist has to escort me onto a watt bike to cool down then.
So what was it? A lot lower than that after the
it ended up
and then it was 500.
It started off like 150, 180, 200, 250, 280, and then the last one, let's go.
Is there any? What's your opinions on, say, a 2k, 5k, or like 6k, any standard?
Yeah, so on the longer ones, I think if it's shorter, you're going to go harder, and then you're going to build more lactate because you have more intensity. So anything over 10 minutes isn't, I don't think, as tough. I think you just get bored more often.
That's what Ed was saying about the hour free rate we did last in the beginning of the season.
I think it's a mentally harder one, but it doesn't hurt as much as you think.
Yes. So what's worse for you, a mentally hard piece or a physically hard piece?
I'm terrible at 18Ks and 3x6s.
Yeah.
I'm
just like UT2 or flat out?
Yeah, UT2. It's the boring stuff that gets me the worst. It's
the mental stuff.
But we have to sit there and grunt through it.
Yeah. So it's not fit. So you're good at the pulling hard for short periods of time.
Yeah, for short periods of time. Yeah. I'm
not for long distances.
No, I'm not good at erging. I'm a terrible erger.
Well, that's a lot. So what it's come down to, what we've seen today, is a few of the guys have said, okay, this erg was really hard because, like you said about the step test, it was really hard because it was physically tired. Yeah. But Ed said, like, the hour free rate was hard because not necessarily physically as like into the pain cave, but more because it was like you had to keep on it for that long.
Once you get out to about 20-25 minutes, all you really have to sit and think about is, this is sore, and you just keep thinking that, and it gets worse. Whereas in the shorter bursts, you can think about other stuff.
Yeah. You can just, you don't even need to distract yourself if it's short.
Yeah, you can count down the last 2 or 3 minutes and you're good.
I've not really thought about it like that. And then after this, I'll let you know what my hardest erg ever was.
Building the tension for that.
Building the tension. But first things first, a little bit more recovery, and then we'll get to the end of the day. And we have made it outside of the club for another day. The work's just getting finished off here at the club as loads of cars are leaving the car park. But today we were talking about the hardest ergs. Now it's time, as the rain starts as well, now it's time to talk about what I think the hardest erg I've ever done is. So there's a couple of hard ones out there. As we've discussed, we've done our free rate. Sam had his step test stuff. Robson had his sort of 4.775 or whatever he said, but mine is similar to Robson's, and I think it's also down to sort of the situations you're in when you're doing those ergs, when you're in the pain cave, what's going on around you as well. So my hardest one would probably be at university. We did a 3x4k. That's probably the erg that I was feeling like I actually might, I want to put the handle down, I want to stop. And it was similar to Robson, where it was, you finish one of them, or you look at the coach and you're like shaking your head, and the coach is like, nah, we're keeping going. and as the rain starts to come down a little bit harder, we'll shelter under the Yaris here. But so I'm shaking my head, I'm looking at the coach, and he's thinking, or he's saying, no, you're going to keep going. And that's after the second piece, and you've still got another one. So like I said, I think it's about the situation that you're put in. So I remember that one in particular, because we're in like a really hard training week, or training block, and the coach throws in this 3x4k where it's a 3x4k for that one at 6k pace, so it's 12k of 6k pace, and you're not supposed to be able to do that. So we were in a hard training block, and then they throw in a workout where you're supposed to blow up, you're supposed to go full yam and then just see how far you can go, for a couple of reasons. One, if your 6k split is pretty accurate to where you can sort of push, then you're going to fail. And the idea is, for that workout anyway, is to mentally to increase your sort of mental fortitude, if it were. And for those people that the 6k or that score may not necessarily be sort of on point, they might actually find out that, okay, they can push harder than they thought they could. So it's like a double-edged sword kind of thing. A couple of reasons why you might do a workout like that. But that's kind of why we did it. And I think that's probably the hardest erg that I've ever done. And it really sort of sticks in my head. And I remember locking eyes with the coach, and I shake my head, and he nods his head, and then it just keeps going. And like Robson mentioned, it's like finishing off that erg. It's like you finished it, you get through it, and it's an accomplishment just to finish it. But at the same time, it's a horrendous feeling because you've blown your doors off way before the finish, and you still have to finish it. But it was, like he said, it was one of those pieces where the harder you went, the faster you went, and the quicker it was finished, even if you ended up going slower and slower and slower. But that is it for today's video, Yam Squad. Hopefully you enjoyed it. We have talked about the hardest ergs today, and like I said earlier, that was from one of the commenters yesterday. It was actually the real AJB. So thank you very much for that suggestion, or that question, because it made it a good vlog topic. So if you have any other suggestions, let me know in the comments below, and I can see if they fit in with what's going on around. But we actually have Marlow this weekend coming up, so hopefully we'll use what we've learned from the hardest ergs, and also what we've been learning from through this week in training as well. But we've got Henley Women's this weekend as well, so hopefully I'll be able to see that. But loads of things coming up, and like I said, we're counting down the days until we get to Henley Royal Regatta, and trying to enjoy the process, not just the final sort of hurrah at the end of said process. And of course, let me know what your hardest erg is or was, because maybe it's similar, maybe it's not, maybe you've had different experiences, because usually everybody has their own different experiences. But as always, Yam Squad, remember to subscribe if you haven't already, hit that like button, and have a good one.